So hello, welcome back to my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe and also support my small business at latricelimited.com. So as we know what is going on with Brittany Griner, for people who do not know, Brittany Griner was, or I guess currently is still a women's basketball player, and she got arrested in Russia for drug charges. So I got a little bit of information about that and some kind of laws that they have in Russia, and currently what is going to be happening since she has a court appearance July 1st. So it says, as tensions rose between Russia and the United States, the Russian authorities in February detained Brittany Griner, a WNBA star, on drug charges. Her detention was extended repeatedly, most recently until July 2nd, but court is, she's scheduled to be in court July 1st. All right. And it says, after a long delay, the U.S. officials were able to see her on March 23rd and found her to be in pretty good condition. She's also been writing, because she's married, she's also been writing to her wife as well. And her wife has just been saying that, you know, pretty much she's been in high spirits, tried to be in high spirits anyways, but she could tell that she is terrified and afraid. Obviously, Brittany does not want her wife to know that because, you know, there's nothing that you can do at that point. I don't want to worry you even more. But that's essentially what's going on with this. So it also says Russia is talking about potentially serious charges. All right. You guys may or may not have heard about what they are proposing to charge her with. And I'll give you a little bit of information on in regards to what would happen. So, for example, what they're charging her with is, you know, having drug charges, drug possession for having hash oil, and I'll get into what that is. And they're saying she could face up to 10 years in a Russian prison. Now, with that, their appeal rate is like 1%. It's like less than 1%, i.e., you whatever I sentence you with is pretty much what you're going to get. Most people, their appeals don't go anywhere. All right. But I do have an article I'm going to read. And it says the Russian Federal Customs Service said that a sniffer dog had prompted to search the carry-on luggage of American basketball player at the Moscow airport. All right. They're talking about Brittany. And they said that she had hashish oil. A state-owned Russian news agency identified the player as Griner. Hash oil is a marijuana concentrate that has a high concentration of the psychoactive chemical THC, and it is commonly sold in cartridges that are used in vaping pens. All right, they said that they noticed that the vapes were scanning while they were in her bag and whatnot. The Customs Service said that the criminal case had been opened into a large-scale transportation of drugs. Listen to this. A charge that can carry a sentence up to 10 years in prison. All right. The Customs Service said that a criminal case had been opened into the large scale of transportation of drugs that can have a 10-year sentence. Now, the thing about this, which I find to be very interesting, and I've been reading in other different stories, and I have not found anything, I haven't heard anything about it. So essentially what we're having is her being brought up on a large scale of drug trafficking, essentially is what they're saying. But I have not seen anything relating to exactly how much hash oil she actually had. All right. I don't know how much she actually had. I don't think really anyone knows how much she actually had, because nothing is being said about it. It's just saying, okay, well, she has the hash oil and now she can have 10 years. But it's like, well, how much did she have? And that's very important, okay? As with any kind of drugs in any state, in any country, okay? If you have a little gram, or if you have, 50 ounces, that's a huge difference. They don't have the same sentencing, all right? So here's some other little factoids about hash oil. It says you can take hash oil in a number of different ways. All right, it can be ingested in various ways. The most common way of ingesting it is vaping, but it can also be eaten, smoked, or rubbed into the skin. So you can get high from it. As I said, it has a high concentration of THC. It says hash oil has anywhere between 40 to 80% THC. All right. So that's a huge thing. And I also have a little bit on here about cannabis laws in Russia. All right. So it says, can you possess and use cannabis in Russia? Right. Russia's governments, they take a tough stance on possession or any use of cannabis. Both are illegal in accordance to the Article 228 of the country's criminal code and are punishable with a fine or prison sentence. Since 2012, the penalties can be deferred if the offender is found to have a drug problem. Possession of up to 6 grams is regarded as the administrative offense. Anything about 7 grams is a criminal offense. However, there are reports of people being arrested for cannabis possession only to have the authorities exaggerate the amount of cannabis that they were caught with. Okay? Because there's different offenses for different amounts of cannabis that you may have. All right? An ounce is not the same as 50 grams. Okay? It just isn't. You know? So it says, for large-scale possession, the following punishments may be given. All right, and this is what they're saying that Brittany had, was a large scale of possession of drugs. Okay, so the punishments can be followed as a fine up to 40,000 rubles, the equivalent amount of 3 months of the offender's wage/salary, compulsory works up to 480 hours, corrective labor for up to 2 years, restriction or deprivation of liberty for up to 3 years, pretty much prison, essentially what that is. All right, I haven't seen anything that says 10 years. All right, for especially large scale possessions, which this must be what she had. All right, a fine up to 500,000 rubles, the equivalent amount of 3 years of their wages, and or restrictions, or pretty much you then get between 3 to 10 years, which is what they're saying that she had in her carry-on bag with her other clothing, her other accessories, whatever else she had, hair products, whatever. They're saying that she had this large-scale possession that can have a prison term of between 3 to 10 years. Now, this is where I go when I look at this. Now, do I think that Brittany had hash oil on her? Yes, I do think that, okay? Now, what I've been saying pretty much is I think that maybe she just forgot. Maybe she was smoking, probably wasn't supposed to, but come on, a lot of people do things that they're not supposed to be doing anyways, okay? So maybe she was smoking, maybe she was just having fun, whatever, kicking it with her homeboys, homegirls, whatever the case may be. I think that, yes, I think she did possess it, all right? Now, I'm thinking it was something along this line, all right? Which is almost nothing. I'll put it right here so you can see. Almost nothing. That's what I think it is. But I think because they are in a war, because, come on, a lot of people do not like America. All right. So then we're going to add that in. We're going to add we're in a war. We're going to add that, you know, this person is your citizen. Now we're going to throw the book at her. That's what I think this is. I think it's all about just like proving some point, trying to make a stance on whatever the F you want it to be about. All right. So yes, I do think that she did have it. And if she did have it, she should have known that you weren't supposed to have it anyways. And definitely not travel across the world with it. Now, I think that the sentencing is exaggerated. If anything, because they're saying she has a large scale, which is just, that's ridiculous. But if anything, fine her 40,000 rubles then. All right. Why can't you just do that? You know, and they're saying it could be any of these punishments, but you chose prison. You chose for her to go to prison for, or you're choosing a sentence up to 10 years. When I can almost guarantee you, she doesn't have all that. She's not doing all that. I highly doubt that's what's happening. All right. But there are some people who, have an opinion on what she should do and, how she should go about doing what she's doing. All right. So it says, what could be her best strategy? People said, it's not what you expect, or it may not be what you expect. Traditionally, the best defense is to admit your guilt and hope you get a lesser sentence. This is not a lot of examples. There's not a lot of examples of people raising strong defenses and getting acquitted. Now, that's what people are thinking. All right, that was from ESPN. People are thinking, yeah, just say you did it, girl. Just say you did it, and let's move on with it, right? Well, you say you did it. This is a Russian prison. Who's to say that they don't just say, okay, 10 years, no probation. You can't come out. It's 10 years and that's what you're doing. Who's to say that that doesn't happen? And fine, if you have the hash oil, but for it to be 10 years versus just, a couple $1,000 fine, 10 years is what you're going to admit you're guilty to? Who's to say that? I mean, their system, and American court system is corrupt as is, but their system is not like our system. All right, from what I'm hearing, it's a lot of corruption over there too. So just looking at it, and it's like their system is corrupt as well. You're gonna say that you're guilty to something? Fine, you had hash oil. Even if it's like this, you have hash oil. But goodness, to say you're guilty and then possibly do 10 years, or to just say you're not guilty and still possibly do 10 years? I don't know, man. I don't know how many more options she has. You have some people who are like, oh yeah, give up Russia's political prisoner. And I'm gonna be real, y'all. A dude that, committed some serious crimes, I don't know about that. Okay? I'm just being honest. That compared to, nah. These are two different circumstances, two different incidences. That's just too much in my opinion. But there's nothing really that you can do besides just say, I guess you did it. But I personally would just still be like, yeah, I didn't do it. How do they appoint lawyers? You know what I mean? I don't know how that whole thing works when it's an overseas thing, and as we said with their appeals, it's like less than 1% actually get an appeal. So if they said 10 years, let's say you went guilty, you said 10 years, and then they're like, okay, well, I'm gonna try to appeal it. Let me see if I can, maybe I'll coerce into it or whatever. It's gonna still be whatever the sentence is. So there's not really much. What do you guys think that her options are? It's very upsetting that this is what we have, and it's just a pawn. You could easily just been like, the person at their TSA could just been like, yo, I gotta report this. Report it, $5,000, $10,000, hell, even $20,000 fine. Hey, you shouldn't have had it. Boom, pay. Now you're on your merry little way. All right. But the fact that they're trying to make, they're trying to make a point with this. That's all this is. It's trying to make a point, trying to show like, yeah, we got one of your people, and it's really upsetting because, these are people's lives. These are really people's lives, y'all. This isn't just, for having a little bit of oil, man. These are people's lives. They can't get back to 10 years. They can't get back to 3 years. They can't get back to 5 years. This is not, in my opinion, a serious offense. It really isn't. Fine her and be like, okay, you don't do that anymore. As simple as that. Now, because they're making it seem like she has, a freaking boatload of oil. And it's like, no, she doesn't have that. I know. That's why they haven't mentioned how many grams, how many ounces, or whatever she had. Because it must have been so minuscule that it was just almost nothing. And that's what I'm saying. I think that she just forgot that it was in there. Now, you have people who think that they planted that. I don't think that. I think they just used this opportunity and they're like, okay, yeah, we got you. But I think that this was not planted. I think it was more on the lines of you just simply forgot. You're like, okay, I'm ready to go. Something you should have just trashed. You were like, nah, I'm go ahead and do this, you know. So those are my thoughts and my opinions on this, and until then.